Since moving to Michigan, there are a whole host of different food genres, for lack of a better phrase, that we miss. Indian food. Houston has a huge expatriate Indian population, so they have amazing Indian food. Mexican food, like true authentic Mexican food and Tex-Mex food, we miss those. There's just not a great place to get it. And one of the other ones that we weren't really expecting was Cajun food. Everett's family is actually from Louisiana, and he's grown up eating a lot of gumbo, a lot of etouffee, and one of our favorite places downtown was called Treebeards, and they make amazing gumbo and etouffee and red beans and rice. So, how we've learned to cope is we just learn to make it ourselves. So if you like soup-based content and other fun recipes, like and subscribe. And stay tuned, we're gonna make chicken and sausage gumbo to the stove. So the first part of making gumbo is making your roux. It is essentially just fat plus flour browned to a point that you like. I know it sounds really, really random, but I am not invested enough to really give you a good explanation or treatise on roux. What I've learned in my experience of making it is that the darker you go, the thinner your gumbo. So I try to shoot for a more peanut butter colored and textured roux. Some people like their roux really, really dark, and that's fine. We like a thicker gumbo in this house, so we're going with a lighter roux. You're going to start by melting your butter or your bacon fat or whatever. We're using butter, and it's equal parts fat to flour. I'm doing 4 tablespoons of butter with 4 tablespoons of flour. But unlike when you're making like a blanchamel sauce where you can like walk away and you don't have to stir it constantly, roux wants to be babied. So it's a non-stop stirring continually as it darkens. Otherwise you get this really acrid smell to it, and no one wants that. It tastes a little burnt. So by constantly stirring it, you prevent that from happening. The other really key thing is I started the whole process by pre-cutting all my vegetables, because like I said, you have to watch the roux and stir it constantly. There comes a point in the future, once the roux is made, where you're going to coat all your vegetables in the roux and saute them in the roux. If you have to go cut them up, that's not going to work. Your roux will be left unattended and it will just be a disaster. So we're going to let this butter melt, and we will come back and we will add the flour and we will start the roux making process. So now that the butter is melted, we're going to add our flour. We're just going to start stirring. Until everything is really well incorporated. It's very dry compared to any other type of like cream sauce you may make. It's not going to be super duper creamy or anything like that. It's really, really dry. So you can see it is not pretty, people. It looks almost like silly putty or Play-Doh. And we're just gonna keep stirring this non-stop. But since I know how boring this is, we're just gonna cut to the chase. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to come back when it's finished. This is another really quick thing. You want this on a low to medium heat. So from a scale of low to high, 2, 4, 6, 8, I have it on about a 4. If I were making cheese sauce for like mac and cheese, this is probably about where I would stop, because this is for gumbo and this is roux and not cheese sauce. You just keep going. You can see that, but it has gotten significantly darker. It's about the color of peanut butter fudge. This is the place where I like my roux. If you've noticed, the texture is not quite so thick and pasty as it's definitely more liquefied than it was when we first started. This is really where you want it to be. So we're going to add our vegetables. All of them have been pre-chopped, like I said. I'm just gonna dump them all in. So we added 1 medium chopped onion, 1/2 of a green bell pepper, and 3 stalks of celery. And you're just gonna let those things get coated with the roux. And it kind of slows, the addition of the vegetables kind of slows down the roux cooking process where you don't have to cook it constantly. To this, I'm going to add 2 cloves of freshly minced garlic. A lot of my gumbo recipes I've seen want you to use garlic powder, and I just don't understand why you would use garlic powder when real garlic is so easy to obtain and so delicious. You're going to kind of mix that in and let that get coated with the roux as well. And you're going to let these things cook together until they get nice and tender. I'm going to cheat with my seasonings. I use the Penzeys Cajun seasoning for my gumbo. It contains sweet paprika, salt, pepper, celery, sugar, garlic, onion, oregano, cayenne red pepper, caraway, dill, turmeric, cumin, basil, bay leaf, mace, cardamom, marjoram, rosemary, and thyme. While I have all these things independently, these are also perfectly balanced. They do so well together, and I just kind of, like a lot of things, I just kind of sprinkle it in there, and I sing the words to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in my head. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high like a diamond in the sky. That is usually enough gumbo seasoning. I use the Penzeys. I know most other major seasoning manufacturers have some sort of Cajun seasoning. You could use Tony Chachere's, or you can get each individual seasoning and try it out. Figure out what you like. Cooking is about what you like. I'm a little unorthodox with my gumbo making because I don't like a super spicy gumbo. Everett and I have had this discussion quite a lot. We do enjoy Cajun food, but we don't enjoy Cajun food that we can't taste because it is so dead hot that it hurts to eat it. So we're just gonna let that kind of brown. And we're gonna go get our chicken stock. I'm using about a quart of chicken stock. We're just gonna add this very slowly. But we're gonna leave it be for now. Cover it up. And let it do its thing. It's coming together really lovely. It's nice and thick, which is just how we like it. It's not too super dark, which is why it's so thick. It's really retained the same color as the roux. So now you add your meats. This is going to be a chicken and sausage gumbo. You can make this with crawfish, you can make this with shrimp. It's the basic same recipe, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure gumbo. So we're going to add to this about a pound of diced chicken and a pound of sliced smoked sausage. These actually came, like most of our chicken that we eat, came from the backyard. We're gonna let this cook a little longer so all of the flavors meld together and so that the sausage and the chicken have a chance to reheat themselves in the soup. And I'm gonna go use the Instant Pot to make some rice and dinner will be ready to go. Gumbo is super easy. So I did a real quick taste test and I'm not happy with the amount of seasoning. This is one of those reasons why I'm a big fan of tasting as you go and figuring out what you like. Right now, we're adding more Cajun seasoning. I'm actually gonna add a whole teaspoon. It's not a spicy blend, it's a more complex blend, so it's really tasty. And then I'm gonna add a little salt from my salt pig. And some freshly cracked black pepper. Like my old standby seasonings. That's right on target. We're going to be serving tonight's gumbo with a wild rice blend because it's just a little more flavorful and tasty than a traditional brown or white rice. So that's a delicious bowl of gumbo ready for dinner. I've finished plating up dinner, so I'm gonna call Everett and we're gonna have some supper. It's a really easy recipe. It's one of those things that you just play with it, figure out what you like, mix in your own meats, do your own seasonings. Cooking is not, recipes are not rules when it comes to cooking. They're more like a framework. They're a recommendation. So use my recommendations. Again, if you like this kind of thing, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourselves.